podcast. I'm your host, Qcento, and we're here for episode number 19. Can you believe already over 2 months since we've been doing this? And today we're going to be talking about what actually makes a good RPG and why so many miss. I'm here today with a very special guest, Musy. How you doing
Hello,
today?
everybody. Hi.
So Musy's a RPG gamer, primarily from what I see, streams a lot on Twitch. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi. Yes, everybody. My name is Musi. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much, Q, again for having me. Yes, I play a lot of RPG games. I love discovering different games, and yeah, so RPGs seems to be one of the most played games that I do play, and they seem to be some of my favorites. So I'm really excited to be talking about them today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for mentioning that. You stream it on just Twitch or do you do YouTube as well? Can they find you on Kick, Twitter, you name it?
So really, I primarily just stream on Twitch. That is, yeah, what I've been on most of the time. I haven't tried any other streaming platform, so yeah, Twitch is just the one.
Okay, sweet. And they can find you at the Ethereal Musey, right?
Yes,
Without the
absolutely.
Y. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome, guys. We
yeah.
have some chatters. Welcome back, Killabunny. We have a couple new ones in the chat as well. Good to see you guys. Today we're going to be talking about what makes a good RPG. The way that we start the streams off is with a little bit of luck. Hey, Marley, welcome in. So I got a new game I want to try out with you guys here. Shout out to Jackpot City for sponsoring the stream as well. And we're going to be playing Pop a Watermelon. It's a brand new exclusive for Jackpot, so I'm really excited about it.
All right.
And
May luck be in our favor today.
it's looking pretty crazy.
I love it. What's up, Philly? What's up, IK? Welcome in.
Okay.
What's up, Angie? Hi.
Check it out. So I'm going to start off light because it seems to be working when I like keep it simple. We lost a lot of money over the last few weeks, and I started kind of just going in with like $2, $3 spins, like little light ones, and we've been making it
Oh
back
goodness.
slowly. So we'll do 250s on this, okay?
Okay. I hope I bring you some luck very
Like,
soon.
I guess we just want the 3 bars or the 3 sevens with
Oh,
this.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, the three sevens.
So, guys, question for the chat now that we have you guys rolling in here. Tell me one thing that you think makes a good RPG, and feel free to chime in on that, Musi, as well.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I think an RPG, it's all about choice and kind of the variety of different things. I know, Philly, you really like gambling, so this stream is definitely for you. I think that RPGs that just have a lot of variety, and you're able to kind of go on and make your own choices, and the choices matter. I think we kind of get confused right now with a lot of what RPGs really mean, and I think just having those choices for me.
That's true.
And meaningful choices is probably the most important of what makes an RPG. Hello, James.
Awesome.
Welcome in.
We got a little bonus.
Let's go,
Not
you
bad, not
guys.
bad, not bad. 60. Killa told us to up the bet to $3. We're winning the quick 60 to start the night.
All right.
Chat saying soundtrack,
Soundtracking.
writing, and world building.
Yeah, definitely. I also think like a nice open world with exploration, but meaningful exploration is probably one of like again one of my favorite things in RPGs. Just yeah, again the variety, like Angie is saying, is probably one of my favorites as well.
Yeah,
Well, we
100%.
won three.
We are up, though, for sure. We're up off that 60 we just got.
Perfect. I'm
Now,
bringing Q some luck.
yeah, with me, it's definitely going to be world building. I find you
Mm.
can get past a story that's not amazing if you have like a nice world to explore and things to do. And
Yes.
every sort of area that you enter isn't rinse and repeat of the last area. So I had this rant a
Yeah.
couple weeks back about like, if I go into a building, I want it to have a different layout than the other building I just came from.
A
And
hundred
a lot
percent.
of games, they tend to recycle that sort of stuff to save
Yeah.
money. And it's like, come on, man, just give me something good here. So yeah, world building for me is like almost number one if I had to put it on the list here. We got another bonus. Okay, you guys want to pick this one, or should I let it pick for me?
Which one? Which one? Oh my God, this is so exciting.
All right, you go ahead. You can
Okay,
choose.
I will do the little knife. Is that a knife? That's a knife.
Yeah.
And I think always that's
75.
the car. Did we get it?
Yeah, we did. Let's
Oh
go.
my God.
So
Holy.
if you guys are watching, oh, we get another one? No way. And 6. Definitely the choices and consequences in an RPG.
Yeah, and I feel like just once again just where a lot of and later on I know that we're going to touch on this as well, just kind of having that conversation of where we're kind of cutting where companies are cutting on money where it comes to rinsing and repeating on the
Hmm.
different buildings or different areas and they look the exact same. When you go to a certain areas and then you go and discover somewhere new and it's completely different, I think that keeps you re-engaged. That makes you want to explore even more. So I think that when we're cutting corners and we're seeing a lot of that, whether we're talking about games or just everyday life, it's just where are you going to cut those corners? Because this really keeps people engaged.
100%. When it comes to world building, it's also trying to bring you into that world, and I think a lot of developers tend to forget about that when they're just trying to cut costs to make the worlds quicker.
Right.
And, immersion comes down to the experience that you have as you go through the world. So, that's like a really big thing for me. Yeah, big fake out on the 6K bonus, right? We almost got that, Killa.
Oh my God, I wish. Um, But yeah, and I think just really good story as well. A lot of people, but mechanics too. I feel like when it comes to this choice of which one would you rather, whether it be story wise or
Hmm.
mechanics,
Hmm.
for me, I think the story. If it has to be a choice, I think the story can on the
That's good.
borderline almost be cut a tiny, tiny bit if it means that mechanics are very, very well made.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Kind of having like a healthy medium as far as like
Exactly.
how the game plays and how the game looks and what there is to do within the game for sure. If you guys had to choose, and feel free to chime in on this chat here, would you guys prefer a choice heavy game or a combat heavy game when it comes to RPGs? Like,
Ooh,
what's
this
more
is a
important
good
to you? You
question.
mentioned earlier that you like making those choices, right?
I think meaningful choices is probably one of the best things for me, but as well, sometimes you don't know how meaningful those choices actually are. Maybe they're not as meaningful, but sometimes they are extremely meaningful, and they can. And I kind of, I think all of the choices should be on the borderline of meaningful, no matter what that is. But
Ooh, 14. Yeah, yeah, 100%. I find sometimes in games they don't necessarily let you know when you're making a big choice. There are some
I like
times where you
balance,
can kind of tell leading up to it that this is going to be a big choice, but there'll
right?
be other times where, you know, you just decide, do I help this person or not help them? And then at the end of the game it turns into like this big thing and you have this like huge regret. So,
Oh, I've definitely felt
yeah.
it myself. Angie, I like balance choice, but combat is always nice. Combat, I feel like, is so important as well. That's what keeps you, I feel like, engaged. I'm not sure if any chat, I'm not sure if you guys are like this, but for me, I can forget kind of an interaction and a choice, but a lot of the time, what I look and remember back to is the combat in certain situations with combat, and that's something that kind of brings me in a little bit more. Choice for me, great, but combat is a plus 100%.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to making choices too, I don't want to feel like I'm constantly being handheld and having to make some kind of choice or go into some conversation, tree every 2 minutes when playing a game. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to play a movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I don't know about you guys, but that's not really like my preference. I kind of just like you make some choices here and there, but you're mostly kind of doing your own thing. And then obviously combat being important. You want to have a fun time playing the game or coming down to fights. But this might come off the wrong way. I don't like when combat's too difficult. Like the whole
Hmm.
Elden Ring type of thing for me, the Souls like games for me, they don't resonate as much because I don't want to have to get mad playing and grind out the perfect gear to come back and do that. But that some people love that, right? So
Some people do absolutely love that choice. I know for me, kind of getting into streaming in general, and even Souls-like games actually was by accident, and I didn't even mean to play Elden Ring. It was recommended to me as my second game I've ever played, and I had no idea what Souls games was. So I absolutely understand that frustration, and I understand.
Did you beat it?
Um, Sorry?
Did you beat it?
Oh, I beat it. Yeah,
No
we've
way.
actually,
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
we beat it a couple times, but I think what's super interesting, hi IK, welcome in. Um, what I think is also super interesting about Elden Ring is that that's a game that you choices do matter and mistakes do matter.
Yeah.
If you kill the wrong NPC, whether it be by accident, I know that for myself when I was playing, I was even going on Reddit because so much of that game is so confusing. And I
Hmm.
remember reading that someone accidentally swung at EG, and then that whole one of the biggest quest lines in Elden Ring that takes you quite a few hours to get to even begin was completely ended right then and there. There's no going back, so you can either redo the game, but there's nothing else that you can do. So I think this is a really good example of how choices matter, and in RPG choices matter, and they do have consequences. And I feel like a lot of the games recently, I feel like that I've played, lack consequence. It's really just no matter what you choose, is kind of just to have the conversation, but there isn't actually any real consequence.
Yeah, 100%. Or it's like something small, like you just didn't get some piece of gear that you could have got otherwise, or, you know, whatever the
Yeah.
case. Um, Believe it or not, guys, we actually lost everything we won so far and
No.
$50. Yeah, so we're actually down about $50. I think I'm going to put this thing on pause here in a second. We got one more spin.
Gotta manifest these wins.
Here, we'll do one more spin. Okay.
Okay.
That we broke even on that, so we take those. Okay. They want us to keep playing.
I was just gonna say they know when you want
You
to
see what I mean?
just
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There we go, we're back.
Okay. Hey, Patty, what's up, man? We're talking about RPGs. I think you should be able to chime in on this one because you play a ton of RPGs, man. One word to describe a great RPG, and would you prefer choices or combat in RPGs? We just keep winning. It's like 10 in a row.
I love it. On a winning streak now.
We're still losing money, though, in the top corner. So, okay,
Oh,
I'm going to pause this for now. I'm good. I'm so good. Never give up. Yeah, we'll come back to something else. I think what happened with this
enabler.
one here is we popped the watermelon early. We ran out of luck and we just kept going. We should have taken that $90 little bonus we got and just left it off that.
We should have put it on pause. That's okay.
Yeah, so we'll come back to something else in a bit, but decent first impression with that one. It does pay for a little bit, so
I like it. It's visually nice. It's not too big. So I like it. It's nice to focus on it.
yeah. I'm thinking, when it comes to RPGs, guys, like obviously, we have iconic ones that we still talk about 10, 12, 15 years later,
Mm.
like the Fallout franchise, always putting out good RPGs. You have the Witcher franchise. You have, you know, on the Nintendo side, like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, things like that. Elden Ring became an instant classic, right? Now, this is an example of RPGs hitting the mark, doing everything right, but then there are so many RPGs that come out on a yearly basis, and we don't even talk about them several months later or
Right.
into the next year. And, why do you think that is? Like, why do you think so many different RPGs have such a hard time missing, hitting the mark? They keep falling short with that.
I definitely feel like there's a lot of RPGs who miss the mark because they misrepresent themselves. I feel like there's some really great games in itself, but then they'll put a skill tree on there and they'll be like, this is an RPG game. And so you go in there maybe with some notions that you already have from the games that you played, and then you realize, well, there's just a skill tree here, or there's no really exploration. So you see that choices do not matter. And I feel like the choices without consequence, I feel like we're trying to be very inclusive, where you don't want to be left out with anything, but sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to bear the consequences of the choices that you made. So I think like there's these tiny things that make a huge difference on whether a game is successful or not, or whether you want to keep on playing.
Yeah. 100%. And when you bring up skill trees in a game that doesn't really need skill trees, that one resonates quite well because I know a lot of like, you know, first person linear campaign games with small exploration areas but not a true open world will throw a skill tree in the mix and call it an RPG and try to
Right.
attract a different crowd when really you're just getting things unlocked by doing the regular story missions that are within sort of a guided frame, and then you're just
Right.
upgrading the skill tree that kind of feels useless at the end of the day. So that's one thing. And
Yeah.
obviously not having choices matter as much makes it so that there would be like a definitive ending to the game where, you know, if you did have choices matter, then there might be multiple endings. And although not everybody's going to go back and replay them,
Right.
you know, and there might be a bit of a fear of missing out, at least having that option, you know, gives them that ability to go back one day and redo it. You know what I mean? I like
Definitely.
Witcher 3 is one of my all-time favorites, and there's like so many different ways that you could end the game or end, you know, quest lines within the game. So, you know, that it definitely brings up the replayability there. Although I haven't actually replayed it from start to finish again because I feel like I
Right.
put in enough time in the game to not want to go back to it necessarily. But
Yeah.
it's cool learning about all the different endings and kind of talking about them with other people, and like that's good for community, right? So
Oh, definitely.
kind of going back to the chat here, Patty's talking about immersion, right?
Immersion is
Choices
very
over the
important.
combat. Combat can be done any way they want, but the choices are key. You're right about that because there's so many ways to do the combat. Some people do like, you know, hack and slash type combat. Some people like turn-based combat. So realistically, that's a mechanic within the game. It can change quite a bit between games. But you look
Right.
at the game of the year for 2025, Claire Obscure, right?
Expedition 33.
Yeah, so turn-based, whereas, you know, you have like an Elden Ring. Well, that's very combat heavy, right, as well. So
Right.
Witcher 3
And I
started 100%.
and you can definitely change so the difficulty. I did play Expedition 33. I think it was very story driven, cutscene driven. I really liked it. It was my one of my very first turn-based games, and I loved it. I think it was amazing, but you can change the difficulty. And you see that now even with Souls games that you're able, Liza P, for example, you're able to change the difficulty in these games to make it more inclusive. But there was a huge difference between, and chat, if you've played this as well, Expeditioner versus Expert was extremely different. It was so difficult between the two. So,
Hmm.
yeah, but the story is very you're one of the games where the choices don't really matter. You're kind of in a movie, it seems, and you were kind of going through the motions. It was a beautiful game, and I appreciated that game very, very much. But it was your choices didn't really matter that much, but you did have a huge skill tree that you really did have to build. You have weapons that you need to upgrade, and so you have a variety of those different kinds of things in that kind of game.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Just kind of going at the chat here. We're talking about, yeah, true point in the skill tree, 100%, man. And countless time into Witcher, Cyberpunk, Persona, and BG3. Battle BG3. Do you know that one? Baldur's Gate. Oh, jeez. I'm going to get some flack for that. But yeah, when it comes to like Expedition, did you find that the difficulty changed? Like, let's say playing it on the easy mode took away from the gameplay, or did you find it like just as good or a little bit different experience? Because
So
where I'm getting at, go ahead.
sorry, yeah, definitely. I'm always up for a challenge, and I do appreciate the challenge because I think that makes you more intensely into the game, and I believe that that is just preference. There are people who just want to play the game and have the tiniest bit of difficulty but still be able to go and explore, and that's their narrative, that's what they want to do. But for me, I've always loved more of a challenge, and I don't think it takes away from specifically Expedition 33. I do not think that takes away because of the cutscenes that they had and the way that it's so story driven. It's almost hard to take away
Right.
from the story itself.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, some games they definitely focus more on the exploration side of things, and some games they focus more on the combat and the intensity side of things. I
Right.
feel like although it's one community of gaming, the sub community of people who like, just difficult games for the sake of being difficult, where when you beat them,
Yeah.
you feel that it's a true accomplishment, to those who kind of just want to kick back, maybe even feet up, play a game, and just kind of
Yeah.
unwind. You know, it's definitely like two sides to it. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I definitely like the sweet spot somewhere in between. And now we have you guys here as well. Like, what would be your favorite RPG of all time? I hear some Baldur's Gate, some Witcher, some Cyberpunks in the chat. For me, it's gonna have to be Witcher 3. I played that game prior to getting into streaming. And
Hmm.
there was a card game in it called Gwent. I went and heard about how they were releasing like a real version of Gwent, like an online PvP game. And then
Right.
I got pretty good at it, started making guides and videos on it, started streaming. So that's kind of what kickstarted the 5+ years of YouTube primarily, but also
Yeah.
Twitch and other platforms that I'm on. So I kind of owe it to The Witcher 3 for getting me started. And just to touch on Cyberpunk as well, guys, a bit of a news here. Um, Cyberpunk is launching a card game, and it's coming
Interesting.
soon. And I got invited to the alpha program, so they're going to be sending me basically like the cards to have a look at and show off. So that's actually coming down. So if you guys really like Cyberpunk and you want to get a bit more out of the game, this is something brand new that's coming down the pipeline very soon. We have another one here for Witcher 3 coming in as well. Yeah, man. What about you, Musi? Like, what's your favorite game of all time for RPGs?
I definitely think that Elden Ring, because that is the second game I've ever played. The very first game I ever played was Hogwarts Legacy. And then the second game I ever played was Elden Ring, not knowing what the Elden Ring world was. Okay, so that was a totally different experience for me. But there's a reason why Elden Ring, people keep coming back to it years and years later. That's why people have hundreds and hundreds of hours on there, because it's almost become this competition. Who can find different quests? Who can find different swords? Did you want to be a mage in this one? Did you want to do magic in this? Did you want to do a great sword? It's really about, you can make your own experience, and there's so much to do. So even if people tell me that they have 300 hours in Elden Ring, I am not surprised in the least. It's like, oh yes, that seems pretty normal now. So I definitely think that Elden Ring is probably one of my favorite games to that I've ever played.
Awesome. And chat saying Witcher trilogy. So we've got a lot of Witcher fans in the chat here.
Seems like it.
Witcher actually came from a series of books which I haven't read. Not a big reader, but
Oh,
I could play the games. Witcher 1's a little bit janky though. If you ever try to play that out in the computer, it's pretty bad. But they are actually going to remake it. So for all you Witcher fans, they're going to be remaking Witcher 1. So if you haven't played the franchise, number 2 and number 3 still look great in 2026, but you can replay the new one when they make it. And Witcher 4 is actually in the pipeline. So we're going to have Witcher 4 sooner than later. We've been seeing teasers about it over the last few months. So, just something to keep Witcher fans excited. And I know they've been working on it for some time now, at least the last, 2, 3 years minimum. So it's going to come
yeah.
out looking amazing and whatnot. So I'm really excited about that. I think when that comes out, I'm going to maybe look at exploring the direction of like RPGs a little bit more with the channel that I have here. But for now,
Yeah.
it's mainly just like round-based games, strategy games, and stuff like that. So you love the OG Witcher 1. I guess it has its quirks, you know what I mean? It wasn't perfect, but the story itself was really good. So, there are different angles that you could take with RPGs in general, right? We always think about story games, or we think about story games with combat, but
Mm,
there's a lot of like building games and crafting games and those types of games, and they are technically RPGs as well. So
right.
how do you guys feel about like survival games where you craft a base and you try to like put together a campfire and build a little civilization? You guys into stuff like that as well?
I remember when I was very young on the DS, I remember that I used to play kind of survival games when I was, again, just like very, very young on the DS. I think it was like, I'm not sure. This would kind of be a DS game. It's so old now, but
Hmm.
I think it was called like Into the Blue or something like that, where you have to kind of, you are surviving.
Hmm.
And I really appreciate those games. It's exactly what it is. Your choices matter. Are you going to survive? Are you going to get the necessary things in order to survive? And there will be grave consequences if you don't get the things to survive, you will die. So
Yeah.
again, I've always just really loved those kinds of games where you have to put in the work.
I picked up one of those types of games called A Long Dark, and
Okay.
basically you're trying to survive in the wilderness in Canada. So I figured it's like Canadian
Treacherous.
based, and yeah, oh no, Canada, right? So that's where we're from, and they show you like the harshest climates, and it's really difficult. Like the difficulty to the max with that one, even on the easiest difficulty, I'm still having tough times. So I haven't gotten too far in it, but if you guys are looking for like a challenging building, crafting, survival game that's like you're, playing as someone who's just trying to make it out there, definitely try The Long Dark, man. There's a lot of DLC and stuff that you can get for it as well. So
Hi, Carrie.
we can definitely see the chat. Yeah.
We can definitely see the chat. What's up,
Age of
IK?
Mythology. So one for Age of Mythology. Now, we talk a lot about, choices matter in games and whatnot. Would you guys, and what about you too, Musi, would you say that if there is no change to the outcome of the game, do we even go through the conversation trees? Does it matter if there's choices if they don't actually do anything?
I think in the short answer, yes, because a lot of the time, unless you're doing a lot of research beforehand, you don't actually know if this choice matters or not. So I think that it does. And I think that when you have, of course, there's a conversation about over dialogue and
Hmm.
choices when there's just too many and too frequent. But then also on the other hand, you need that in order to establish the game and to have those conversations, kind of immerse yourself and be like, okay, like now I'm reading, like now I'm really more into this. Now I'm more into the choices that I'm making, and really, you're not really going to remember every single choice that you made, but along the way, you don't know what choice really mattered or not. I think in the short term, it's better to see kind of a reason why you had to make the choice and that difference, but a lot of the time, you don't even know if this actually makes a grave decision making. Me playing Wu Chang at the very end, and I chose the bad ending.
Hmm. And
Really
honestly,
upset. Worst thing ever.
yeah, a lot of it's hindsight too. Like you could
Yeah,
think you're making such a big choice at the time and it doesn't equate to anything down the
nothing.
road, but it's just the tense moment of having to make that choice might be enough to say, hey, like it's worth having in a game,
Yeah.
right? Now, on the contrary, if a game has like mid combat, do you think it could still be a good RPG? Because Claire Obscure, great turn-based system. Elden
Mm.
Ring, great mechanical fighting, right? Would they still hold the same or be looked at in the same light if the combat was sort of mid?
I want to say no, and the reason why I'm saying this is, I think story makes up for these little things in combat. But
Hmm.
for example, certain games when certain games do not have good combat, that makes you almost want to borderline stop playing the game. And then even if you want to finish it, that makes you not want to come back. And then that's when you see a lot of remasters or when you see a lot of patches. But originally, in the remasters, a lot of people will never not talk about if the combat was really bad. So I think it starts making the game a bit of a drag. And then if you have other
Yeah.
smaller components like the choices don't matter, or this is like a very long cutscene, or just certain things like that, um, then it just makes the game, it turns into quite a few things that makes the game not very good.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. And I'm just thinking about the cutscene part.
Mm,
I hate watching it like it's a movie all the time.
yeah.
I love in RPGs where they let you walk around while the person's talking to you.
Hmm.
Like they're explaining the mission
Yeah.
brief, but you can just kind of like mess around the room and loot stuff up. Like for me, that's the best part of it. Just being able to have that variety. Some unskippable ones when it's key points within the story that you don't want to miss, I understand.
Right.
But constant, throw the screen up as some pre-recorded thing, um, you know, and just it bothers me, man, because like I could just be watching the TV behind me, right? Like that's just what it comes down to. We're gonna be playing some tiki clusters for a bit here, guys, trying to win back the money that I lost, but unfortunately, we're actually down about $50 so far.
We got to make up this $50 ASAP. We're making it 90 cents at a time.
Yeah, Thronebreaker has no combat besides Gwent. Yeah, The combat in Thronebreaker, to me, it's a lot of like obviously card versus card combat. It's, you know, turn-based combat. Some of them are more like puzzles though, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
Thronebreaker is a pretty good game. It's sort of like a top-down clicker that is built off of like a, it's a Witcher spin-off, and it uses Gwent cards. So, you know, definitely goes on sale often. It's worth a playthrough. And I think it's one of the most choices matter RPGs that I've ever played in my
Mhm.
life because, for example, there are certain premium cards that you unlock in that game that you can then use in the real game of Gwent. And to this day, although I've beat Thronebreaker a couple times years ago, I didn't find all those cards because I made wrong choices and I didn't
Right.
know where I messed up, and I didn't want to go back and replay the whole game just so I can have one card that's premium in the game. So basically, you know, I get clowned for that all the time because I didn't make the right choices in a couple situations. So it matters. Those
It does.
the choices, yeah, the puzzles did go hard, Dami, as well. I had to go on YouTube and find a couple of the answers to them. To be honest with you,
Honestly. I personally, for me, like, I really don't mind a lot of cutscenes. Just circling back to that. Um, I know right now a game that I'm currently playing is Where Winds Meet, and I
okay,
have never played a game that is so cutscene heavy in my entire life. I've never seen a game that is so cutscene heavy. And then at first, when you're super inspired, I feel, and you're like, wow, this is so amazing. We're establishing like what's going on. And then it gets to the point where you get frustrated that you can't skip. Some of them are
right,
beautiful, but if it's just nonsense, I can see why. And I feel like, again, this goes to a lot of preference. And I feel like that's why there is such a variety of different games. And now I feel a lot of different kinds of RPG games, and that why a lot of games could even get the a little bit of hate because they're labeled as RPG, but they only have a few aspects. So I think cutscenes are really great if it's not too much. And there's some games where I think that it would have been nice to get a little bit more story so we could understand. For
right,
example, Elden Ring is one of those games where if you're going in it really blind, like I did completely blind, I picked berries for like a week because I didn't know what to do. It was like Stardew Valley, Elden
yeah,
Ring style.
yeah,
um,
that's
but then
hilarious.
you
But
you start to realize how lore deep that game really is, and you start appreciating it so much more. But yeah, I've definitely had games where it's extreme on the cutscene side, and I know chat was saying that they do like some cutscenes, and we love a few good ones. We do love good cutscenes to
mhm,
really establish the story, but sometimes it is way too much, and we can't skip fast enough.
that was Where Winds Meet, right?
Yes.
Okay, I did see a trailer for that. It actually looks really nice. That one just came out, didn't it? Free to play.
Free to play, insane game, insane story that you can't follow. I would say it's impossible nearly. And chat, you can let me know as well if you've played. I find that game it's insanely big. It feels almost like Elden Ring times three. It's huge, it's story dense, it's combat heavy. There's so many different skill trees. It's a game where you literally need to research more and more and more and more. It's a game where you almost come back to play a whole different game and then come back to constantly.
Would you say it's like backed by a gotcha system? Like, do you find there's a lot of pay to win or pay to do better, given that it's a free game? I'm trying to feel like how do they monetize something that looks so good, right?
Right. And that was the huge conversation about this game, and the conversation we had before it was even released. And that was exactly it. I was like, well, what do I have to pay for? Is it going to be like a phone game where great, it's free to download, but you can't really get to the next space 3 minutes
Hmm.
in without purchasing a $10 this and a ten
Oh,
dollar that? It is not like that at all, which is super interesting because I was going into Where Winds Meet thinking, okay, I don't know really anything, but it is not pay to win.
okay.
You pay for really skins.
That's it. You just
That's
pay to
it.
look cool. Okay, I can
You pay
appreciate
to
that.
look very cool.
I can appreciate that. I play Apex Legends. If you guys know, I talk about it constantly. I'm still playing in 2026. That's how I get frustrated. Um, it's the most tilting game ever, but I keep coming back to it. And I've bought in a few heirlooms. So, you know, heirlooms are about like 150 to 170 Canadian. And
Right.
all it is like a knife that they hold and they can flip,
Right.
or
Okay.
like a skin that looks pretty sweet. And so, like, I'm not gonna lie, I've taken the YouTube check and I've I've bought a couple like skins for no good reason. So, like, I understand it. You know,
Yeah.
games are free to play. You love them enough. Why not just do it once in a while? We did get a bonus, which is amazing because I'm down $172. I was kind of playing this in the background, guys, and just losing money quietly. But
Quietly. But let's
there's a
win
chance,
loudly.
yeah, there's a chance we get it back on 10 free spins.
It could always be the last one. You never know on these kinds of gambling games. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna get you. The
I'm
most expensive
hoping.
game in the
Oh,
skin in the game, and the boat costs 40,000. Yeah, and we actually met a couple people who have bought that boat, so the game is making money.
there's a $40,000 boat in this game.
A skin, and you get a humongous boat with this. And
That's
look
a
at
good
us,
win.
and we're winning loudly.
This better be like okay, not enough. We're still like halfway there though. We did lose quite a bit on this one, so
We just got to keep on
but it's
going on.
stacking. Okay, every single okay. We were playing the long game here, so now the wins are gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. So we have two spins to make it really count. Let's go mega win.
I
128
think we're
plus.
making it back.
Yeah, we did make it back. So 172. We're actually up 50 now, guys. Uh, that's so anticlimactic. It goes from like $200 to like there we go.
Ah,
It's a little something. That's 10 spins. I'll take that every
we
single
love
day.
a little win.
I gotta say, it like it sucks dipping down, but that's just how you play these games, man. You just gotta like stay in there when it gets tough and make something happen. So I
How
feel like
much did you start with?
so it shows here like we're net 56 on this game and our
Hmm.
balance is at the bottom here. So I was able to clear up our little debt for this game and then kind of come back a little profit.
It's been a roller coaster.
You think it's hot right now? I'm just doing a little heat check here, you know what I mean? We got to see if it's still going to pay out a little bit. It's looking like it's still. Yup. It's looking like
No,
it's still
you're on
hot.
a hot streak. You're looking
Yeah.
good.
I see a bunch of 10x. We're seeing, bonus still rolling in. So I got to keep just playing just for a bit. If you guys are just tuning in now, thank you for joining the podcast. And, let us know what your favorite RPG is of all time. We've had a lot of Witchers, we've had some Elden Rings, or we've had a Elden Ring. I agree with you. If I was good at those games, I would definitely put it higher on my list.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like how do you not stop? I know you have to keep on going if you're on a winning streak. Take your money and leave.
No, we're gonna stay in. We have to stay in just for a little bit.
I love
Take
it.
the-
And then another thing with RPGs as well is the conversation of what is too linear. I feel that's also we love open world. I'm a huge fan of open world, maybe with a bit of guidance. I think Elden Ring once again is just a game that was extremely open world, but maybe with some guidance. But what is too linear of a game is Wukong. Wukong has a lot of aspects that make it RPG with the skill tree, with the
well said.
choices, with the combat, with building your character and building your skill, and you can kind of characterize it to what combat you like best. But the story is completely linear, and your
Yeah.
choices don't really matter. The end is going to be the end, no matter what it is.
There was a game that I actually thought of that was more linear than I would have liked it to be. So, if you guys are familiar with the Metro series, that was one of the ones that I felt like was a little too linear. Basically, it's post Chernobyl. So, there was an apocalypse after Chernobyl, right? The real thing that happened. Everybody's living underground within the train stations. And it's a three-game series. And the last installment, I guess you could say, would be Exodus, and that was like 2020, but it had some of the benchmark graphics for the time and probably still holds up against some of the games that are being released right now, like 5 years
Hmm.
later. They really hyped up an open world concept to it, but it
Yeah.
felt like you had an open world that had a gate, like after a little bit. So you pretty much hit the invisible wall, if you know what I mean, like how games do that. And I was disappointed. I feel like just because I have a little space to run around doesn't mean now you can go and call it an open world game.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like there's a lot of misrepresentation of games, and that's really, I feel, the company's faults of why we get misunderstandings of what the game is going to be. I know that there was a lot of conversation about just like open world games, but they're actually not. They're not open world whatsoever. The Last
mhm.
of Us Part Two. I guess there was a lot of controversy because the trailer was misleading on which character was going to be there. I'm not going to give out any spoilers. But I feel like as well it's the conversation of what we're given and all the information that we're given, because we all, with the trailers and with gameplay and the YouTubes that we watch of what the game is going to be, and then when we finally arrive to the game,
Come on.
what was told to us.
Oh, we almost hit it. It was like the last one that just went over. Yeah, I agree. Kingdom Hearts
Hi,
2 for
Imperial.
you. Right on. Different genres coming into the mix right now as well. Um, I say genres. Kingdom Hearts, this could just be ignorance. Like, I thought that was more of like a fighting game. I could be so off with that.
Hmm. I feel like once you get like one of these big wins on these games, then it's extremely hard to stop. Like anything could happen at this point.
Yeah, Metro was okay for you. But you know what I mean when they said like open world and it was supposed to be that kind of thing and then it's that sort of thing. When it comes to RPGs, do you think that there are certain ones that get a lot of glaze that really don't deserve it? And if you guys can think of any in particular that are just overhyped, I'd love to know. For
Yeah,
me, it's kind
definitely.
of a hot take. I think GTA 4 and 5 got a lot of glaze. Like, okay, I didn't play the fifth one, I started it, but like 4 was all right. And honestly, the fact that that game holds so strong for like 12 years
That's
is
a long
insane to me.
time.
I can understand the role playing online, like making it sort of like a streamer and content game. Like, it's a
Right.
good way to farm stuff for that. But I feel like the game itself got really overhyped.
I definitely think that as well. I think that it really is just for me like opinion based. There's a lot. Like for example, Wukong, I feel people don't say that it's an RPG because of the ending that it has. But I think it's forgivable, and because it's not very open world, there's still
Mhm.
exploration. Don't get me wrong, but it has elements of an RPG, and I feel like we take all of these games and they have elements of an RPG, and then we kind of start nitpicking, maybe not even nitpicking, but we start being like, okay, but is this? So I feel like a lot of games do get a lot of glaze, and then a lot of games didn't get a chance.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like for all the games you overhype, you bring so much attention to, we can only play so many games. They kind of take the front
Winning.
seat, and we tend to forget about some of the hidden gems, right?
Oh,
GTA 4 is
absolutely.
goaded. Definitely a hot take. I mean, yeah, like it was good. It was good, but I mean, I'm talking about glaze, like the best thing that you've ever seen in your entire life. Because if you didn't tell me that was the number one on your list,
Yeah.
you see what I mean? GTA 5 was meh. I agree.
Okay, the most underrated of the franchise, the fourth one.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
I actually have not. I've only seen people play GTA, so I have
Yeah.
not played it, but it just seemed to me a very cool game. Like there was something for everybody, and I think that that's what makes people want to come, and that's what makes those games so popular is that there's a variety of things that you can do and your personal choices matter, but really your
Mhm.
personality kind of shows in the game, and you're able, or maybe your alter ego, or maybe your fan, like whatever you want to choose, you can kind of play it out in those kinds of games. So I think that those are the reason why those games are so immersive, but they make it where you just can keep on playing and playing and playing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. My best memories playing GTA, guys, would be like PlayStation 2, GTA 3, and Vice City, and then shortly after San Andreas. Like the original like trilogy for me, that hits different because I was at the age where I could just like no life this, and it was a lot of fun, man. And it was
Yeah.
also like the first sort of taste of the game like that. The shock factor, and like not only was I a kid, no, I shouldn't be playing this because it's bad, but it's like the first game that we really saw that you could go around playing as a criminal and get away with it. You know what I mean? So I feel like
Yeah.
obviously nostalgia carried some RPGs for me, and like, yeah, Vice City days, man. Um, I think we missed our mark here again on Tiki clusters. I keep winning back little bits, but now I'm down 50, just chasing another bonus that didn't happen. They keep
No.
baiting me. Vice City was your favorite?
I think as well, map wise, I don't know if this is a hot take. I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like Hogwarts Legacy had the biggest map for no reason at all. I'm not sure if there's any Hogwarts Legacy players on here. Again, it was a great game, very linear. Open world choices did not matter. So it did have these
Mm.
RPG elements, a lot of elements in it. Skill wise, not really. Again, that's more of a turn based game, but when it comes to maps, I feel like there is some games that maps are just extremely big, way too big, and they kind of need to dial it down a little bit. There are some RPG games where they just say, it was open world, but for really no reason, and I think that that's what a lot of but creators need to know as well is that things need to be done with, I think, more purpose, especially if you're a company and you're going to spend more money on map size, just dial it down a tiny little bit. I loved Hogwarts. Only thing is missing was multiplayer. That's true, actually, wasn't it? They didn't have multiplayer at all. I think they were working on something like that though.
There was no multiplayer in Hogwarts. I feel like that's a lost opportunity. I think that game as like an MMO would be really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different conversation, the MMORPG side of things, but like to be able to kind of log in and I guess squad up or have your own sort of school
Right.
in the Hogwarts system, like that could be really sweet. I think that that would get a lot of replayability opposed to just kind of making it, linear with open world. And, kind of come into map sizes as well, and just developers being more intentional with map design, I think is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
They have to respect the time of the players as well. I got to
Yeah.
respect my own time by closing this while I'm down $100 before I'm down 200. But you got to respect the time of the players, and I feel like a lot of times, you think bigger is better when it comes to maps, and you
It's not.
have us again just going across the whole map that takes forever to get across. Like, if that's the way that it's going to be, it's not necessarily for me. I know, like, whether you're riding a horse and it takes you literally 15 minutes of real time to go and
Yeah.
turn in a quest. That's another thing that I can't stand is when you have a big map and then you have to go do a type of quest where you go, you pick something up, you drop it off somewhere else, like a fetch quest, and then you got to go back and collect
Right.
whatever the reward is. It's like, okay, now you're just basically farming hours. So
Right.
then it just looks like people play this for tons of hours and they love this game, but realistically, it's like the only way you could play the game is to put too much time into it. So, yeah, games with oversized maps that don't need to be oversized is really not it for me. Like, that's a really big turn off. That would actually make me not want to continue playing a game.
Right.
One of the ones that kind of comes to mind with really big map size, and I wouldn't say every area has a lot of value, would be Ubisoft games. So Far Cry games, a lot of it is the same when you go to
Right.
different areas, but I'm glad that you at least get to roll out a helicopter or a plane to get where you're supposed to go, and you're not just
Right.
driving the whole way because that would be ridiculous. And they do implement like hang gliders and stuff like that, so it's manageable. But
Right. I think, yeah, those are definitely very time consuming things. I know when we played Kazan, that was actually a patch that came after we played, was a lot of the shortcuts closed down if you exited that
mhm.
area. And that kind of drove people crazy because, again, it's like, well, I've already done it. So why do I have to go and redo all of this and see the same villains just to get this thing to come down, there's a log to come down just for me to go upstairs. So I think that that's what kind of would drive people crazy. So it's these little tiny things, I think, that make up a huge part of the game because everybody is going to experience it. And
Hmm.
most of the time, everyone's going to experience it the same. I know that there was a huge patch that came on when it came to Hogwarts Legacy, for example, when the Flu Flame was just talking to you constantly, and people were like, "That's driving me nuts." So, to make a good RPG game, I think that these are these tiny things that everybody is going to experience, no matter where you go,
Yeah.
what conversation you have, what your build is. It's the same, and it drives everybody crazy.
I didn't play Hogwarts.
Mm,
I keep seeing it on deep discount for like $8, so one of these days I'll definitely pick it up.
yeah.
But if the blue flame or whatever you just mentioned was like a little sidekick, I'm guessing I can't
Almost
stand.
like you would fast
Yeah,
travel and it would just come up and it would just talk to you and you're like, please, for the love of God, please, need you to not.
I can't stand little like tag along companion sidekicks in games that don't
Mm,
shut up. You know, like you
right.
open a door and I wonder what's over there, or
We're about to
like
find out.
yeah, exactly, and like they just keep going nonstop. Like that's another pet peeve of mine. If it's not a huge map that has no substance, it's a companion that doesn't stop talking in the games. Just let me do what I got to do. Stop complaining and stop giving me hints in real time of where I should go. Like, oh, I think we should look over there, and then it like. Do you find that RPGs in general do too much hand holding when it comes to like story based ones? Whereas like they kind of they almost give you too much of where to go or how to proceed with your journey? Or do you find based on your experiences, I know games like Elden Ring would be a little bit different, but
Hmm.
I see a lot
Um,
of go to this objective and do
right.
exactly this, and they highlight it exactly for you, and so everything's kind of just mapped out, and all you got to do is get there.
Definitely. I feel like for myself, I don't want to sit here and say I'm an experienced gamer. I'm someone who's experiencing games now and going to play a lot more games. And I think what we've had on the roster is really good, but I feel like I do need help. And that's my preference. And so what I'm seeing a lot with updates, remasters, and you have a choice now. And so for me, it helps me a little bit to be able to kind of have the choice of whether I want help or not. But I can see why it would ruin that because in Elden Ring you don't get a choice. This is the game, and
Hmm.
they'll give you the tiniest hint that good luck in trying to figure it out because it's going to be nearly impossible. But that's also the game, and that's also the challenge that people love. And some people, again, want some more of that guided help. Like Hogwarts Legacy will tell you, will literally lead you the way. Like it's a yellow little map to go to teach you where to go. So it
Chat
really
said
just
click here.
yeah. So it really just depends, I think, on your preference.
Yeah, I guess like if those types of things would scale when you select different difficulties, that would be interesting to me. It
Yeah.
seems like the sort of guided UI or HUD is, across all difficulty levels if it's going to be a thing within a game. And really, the only thing that changes would be like your overall health or enemy strength and things like
Right.
that. I definitely think that that should come as a layer of difficulty in these games. Have it for those who want it, and be able to have it more immersive and less guided for those who don't. And there are very few
Yeah.
games that I can think of. If you guys can think of any titles, we'll definitely love to talk about it. But it's really hard to kind of think of ones that sort of separate the two and bring them into like the difficulty setting, opposed to just like having it there all together. So
I
yeah.
feel like in the future, we will definitely see more of those options of whether you're able to turn it on. For example, where winds meet, you can change the difficulty, but it's very complex and you can actually hide the whole map. You can hide absolutely everything and you can make it as difficult as you want it to be. You can make it near impossible. And exactly what Silverback is saying is that you kind of want that assisted help after 5-10 minutes of being stuck, not right away. And I feel like in the games in the future, we're probably going to see that when they see you go around and around and around a couple of times, they'll probably be like, "Do you need a hint?"
Yeah.
And then I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that in helping in that guidance. But there's definitely way too much, and then it just becomes like, okay, it's just linear at that point. It wouldn't even matter if it's open world.
Agreed. Agreed. That's kind of when it stops becoming important to have it if it's that linear. I'm gonna hop into something else here as well, trying to get my money back for today. We're down probably about 150 on the day, So we're gonna play Max Spinwell, Temple Explorer. Speaking of RPGs, it's kind of fitting the theme for tonight. I think that with this one here, I've played one like this before. The more we sort of play into it, the more bonuses we get on the top, and then the bonuses become larger. So minimum bets 80 cent. It actually makes sense to do something like this and kind of just start off with it. You'll see what I mean as it kind of comes along. So the famous yellow paint guidance, yeah, the yellow fence or the orange.
It's looking like Indiana Jones themed, but I'm liking the little chest on the side. Hopefully it gets opened. Good luck. Yeah, the famous yellow paint guidance. Yeah, from Hogwarts, right? Do I remember it correctly?
Oh, that was a bonus. We could buy one later. Yeah, yellow paint or yellow fence, that sort of thing's kind of just been there. I guess they just had to think of a color to make it.
And definitely Silver. So so Uncharted, they kind of ask you after a couple minutes if you're stuck, but it's nice to just have that kind of, um, yeah, just to kind of have that knowledge of like, okay, do I need help? And I feel a lot of games in the future are definitely going to have that option or be definitely more on the smarter side for that.
Yeah, and kind of thinking back to difficulty in games is one thing. Obviously, time is important as well. What would be like the sweet spot for a game as far as like hours to beat? I find a lot of these games are focusing on just putting in, making it 70, 120 hours and sort of boasting about how there's this many hours of content
Mm,
within the game. I feel like there's a sweet spot somewhere where you can have a great lasting impression meets, solid game. For me, it's somewhere in the 25 to 35 hour range of I
right.
can see everything that this game has to offer and be done with it if I choose to do so, but replay it because there's still a bit more maybe after the fact. So that's kind of where I'm at. But what about you guys? And what about you, Musi? Like, what do you think like the perfect sort of time length for a game should be as far as like being able to get through the whole world and everything?
I definitely think there is such thing as too short, and I think I'll start there. Like Angie says, I feel like Silent Hill is a good game to have those options for players. And good night, Curie. But where I kind of have a little bit of a problem with is when a game is in extreme price points, and it's very, very short. And I think
Hmm.
that there is also a sweet spot of depending on the kind of game. I feel like when you're sometimes it can be too short, but also it can be too long. 30 to 40 hours, I completely agree. There is a lot of games where once I hit that 30-hour mark, I'm like, how much more is there to go here? 30, 35 hours, it's like, okay, but is there even more? Silent Hill LF, I feel like for the price point it was for 16 hours, I don't feel like that was long enough. Again, there is a lot of different um endings. That is a game with like 7 different endings. Is there enough content for you to want to replay that 7 times?
Yes.
And I think that's the conversation of if something big wins 60.
Pretty good. Pretty
um
good. Yeah,
so
I
so
agree
I
with
think
that.
that there definitely is a sweet spot, like yeah, like 60 to 80. I feel like a lot of Souls games are up there because you don't have a lot of help. But then anything under, when you're paying certain amounts of money for these games, if you're only playing 16 hours of it, and there's a good chance you're not going to replay because there's not enough content to it, is there too short?
Yeah, exactly. I see a lot of the chat here. For me, it was somewhere between 25 to 35 hours. We have a lot of people saying 80, 60 to 80, 35 to 90. So we kind of have an idea of where we'd like them to be. And you look at the average game in Canadian dollars, it's looking at about 80 to $100 for the game,
Right.
depending on the title for AAA. Now, would you say that maybe somewhere between $1 to $2 per hour of gaming is acceptable? For me, if I'm paying $2 per hour of solid gaming, I think I'm getting a pretty good deal. But
Yeah.
obviously, going to something where you're getting maybe 10 or less hours for $80, it's kind of steep. At that rate,
Right.
there are definitely other things that you could be doing with the time that might just be the same price for more fun. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. And again, that's with with the game that we played, and I will always say I think that that was extremely expensive. I think it was a great game. Lots of choices, lots of. It was a linear game. It was scary and it was great, and I understand that it's part of a franchise. But I think what we're noticing as well, whether you are on AAA, whether you are an indie game that was like Expedition 33, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of indie companies being almost sponsored by bigger gaming companies because of how Expedition 33 started. When you hear the story of
Hmm.
really the way that they got their music going, the way that they hired a lot of their team and ended up winning how many awards. So I feel like we're going to see something a little bit different in the gaming world, even with RPGs. When it comes to smaller indie companies, I think now we're going to get their chance to create something really big.
Yeah, I kind of like that games like Clair Obscur can sort of pave the way for a new generation of, you know, indie developers taking on these bigger games. And I think that, but it sort of sets precedent that, like, if the small developer can sort of outsource a bit of help here and there, like it could turn into
Right.
something really big for everybody involved. So I'm kind of liking the example that they're setting. And I think that it puts pressure on AAA developers to continue to make good games, if not up what they're doing, because Game of the Year was, again, an indie developer. So it makes a big difference. I mean,
Definitely.
Hollow Knight was an indie game, but the ability to play it back over and over, do different runs each playthrough makes $20. Yeah. The thing about Hollow Knight though is it took forever to beat for like I didn't even beat it. I, I didn't beat it. I had to watch a friend beat the rest of it because I couldn't get it done. And then, obviously it's like 16.99 for that game. And it's an indie developer, Team Cherry, again, back with another crazy release with Silk Song. Like those games have a lot of replayability. I feel like definitely one of the best value games that you could think of, right? So definitely
Definitely.
worth that. Yeah. We're so due for a bonus, by the way. It keeps giving us hints, but it's not taken.
It can happen at any time, you
This is
guys.
looking promising, though.
It's going into the chest. When do we get to open
Uh,
it?
yeah,
Ooh.
so I know one of the other ones that I play, it's like when this part gets full, then you get like a mystery bonus that comes out of the blue, but we
Oh,
don't know when
that's
it's
so
going to happen.
cool.
Yeah, so that's like a side thing that we're doing. And then as you play this top line here, like the map, it'll stay. So every time I log in, it'll just have where I completed it up to, which is really cool. So we save that progress. And
Oh,
then,
amazing. I love
yeah,
it.
so now we're just kind of like working on it a bit and seeing where we can get with it. Just by the
Just a bad
bonus. I
bonus.
know, I was thinking about a killer. Remember that time, Killa, that we actually won $930 playing Kong? Kong is just like this game, just skinned differently. So I'm not going to buy a four. I'll tell you what, I'll buy a $300 bonus, okay?
Shout out to Jackpot City.
Yeah, shout out Jackpot. Shout out to Killa for always being a bad influence. I forgot that I just bought the bonus. I was getting excited about the fact that of course it's gonna roll 10. All right, we got to make more than $300, guys, to make this count.
And you wanted to quit.
Well, I bought it.
Anything
It's
could
a
happen.
guaranteed bonus, right? But
Oh,
like,
great.
yeah. But like it better count. Okay, times two. We like that. Oh, you wanted to quit? Yeah, I did want to quit. It was our last spin on Kong that we got the 960 bucks or whatever it was.
Thanks for joining, Angie. Talk to you later.
Good to see you, Angie.
Oh, this
That's
could be
good.
it.
This is looking
This
pretty
could be
nice, man.
it.
We get a multi on that? No, just 140. Okay. We've almost made it all back. We have like 5 spins to go. This one's going to be a juicer, man. This is looking like an easy dub. 30s. Can we get some 30s in the chat? 116.40. We already made it back. We got 4 spins for free right now. 5 times are coming in with this.
We love it.
And then they give me 60 cents. Fuck you. Like, there we go. Yeah,
Finally. Did you make your money?
we did. We spent 300. We're at 4.
Oh,
And oh, I got 5 more spins.
there
It
we
keeps
go.
going.
Made the money back easy. Easy money. Did you consider
37.
the Uncharted series an RPG?
I didn't get to finish it. I started one of them. Was it the Thief's End or Thief's Tale? You know what I'm talking about. On PlayStation 4, but then I
Hmm.
stopped playing the PlayStation 4 and never got around to finishing it. So I don't have a lot to comment. Like I barely got through the prologue.
Oh my god. Are you gonna double your money? You already did,
We
didn't
we
you?
did. Yeah, we might triple this right now.
That's what we like to hear. You got a lot of spins. Oh,
Yeah,
is it 15?
we paid for the 10 and then we got
Okay.
5 bonus on top of that. And then we obviously ran out. Always listen to Bunny. This is the second time that, probably the third or fourth time that you've actually put me up in a good situation. So big shout out to Bunny.
Shout out to Bunny.
Uh, okay, well we're up 400. Should I go back in on one or should I just like roll a couple and see if we're still hitting?
I think roll a couple.
Okay,
This could be it.
I want this to explode before we leave
I think
because
that's like what I'm
yeah,
like the most excited for is like seeing that.
because
The
if I don't get
anticipation
this,
is
it's like I'm
crazy.
losing. Yeah, I'm losing a free one on the side.
I'm always curious. What could happen? Big wins, big thing. No, I love it. It feels like it's about to open, and that's what I'm most excited for.
I want to see what happens when it does open too. With the other one, like the monkey jumps out of the big pot. With this one here, I
Ooh,
don't know if it's like it could just shoot coins
immersive.
all over the screen or something like that. So we're definitely sticking around for it.
Love to see it. You're winning a little bit.
Yeah, we're sort of like sustaining off it. But if I lose what we just made off that bonus, I'm just bad. You think I'm gonna hit? Okay. Chat thinks we're due.
Chat knows best.
Hmm. You think so? It's like physics don't make sense the way that this is like lined up right now.
Needs to be done soon.
While we're on the topic of RPGs, what have you been playing mostly right now? You mentioned Where Wind Meets
Right.
being one of the ones you've been getting into on stream. What else have you been playing?
We did play The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, and that was an amazing game. Again, linear. Do the choices matter? No. I don't really think that there was really like any choices. Very like there was like no choices in that game. But it was really, really great. Where Winds Meet is again that game that's for everybody. There's so many styles to play. It's free to play. And again, you exactly what you asked beforehand. Like how much I feel like that makes people not want to play the game is the
Hmm.
first thing I thought of was free game. What's wrong with it? Why is it free? And how much am I going to have to pay in game, which is going to be so much more. But again, with the RPG, there's a lot of cutscenes. I can guarantee for anybody who's ever played that game, there's way too much dialogue. And I feel like it's just one of those games where, in any game, whether it be RPG, story, doesn't really matter. Too much dialogue that doesn't matter, that really has no significance, and nobody's reading it. Nobody's listening to it. They're skipping through it. There's
Yeah,
no ifs or buts. I feel like there's like a common collective with gamers, and that is definitely one of them.
that's fair. I I started trying to play, games outside of content again to really sort of rekindle. So, I picked up a Steam Deck a little while ago
Mm,
and I went through my library and sort of the backlog of games that I purchased on sale but didn't get around to playing. And one of the ones was the Callisto Protocol, which is kind of like Dead
ooh.
Space. It's like a horror survival RPG set in like space. So I
Yeah.
started that one and it actually runs very well on the Steam Deck. That game on release had optimization issues, but there are special graphic settings that are automatically put on when you play it on the Steam Deck. And I had an actual easy time playing it opposed to on my computer, which it ran terribly. So,
Yeah.
started doing that. That's very linear so far. Not too heavy on the cutscenes where I'm at right now, like just
Yeah.
anything that you'd expect when you're sort of starting a game to get it going. But it looks a little too linear, and I think that this sort of game would have had so much potential if they just would have let me explore a bit more. So that's one of the ones, and I've kind of been on like a horror game kick, I guess you could say. So
Mm,
I picked up Soma, and Soma was like $1. It was on sale for like $40. I didn't know the game was like 10 years old because it looks really new, but that's sort of like a story game that is really creepy. Like the world is basically ending. It's the apocalypse, and
right.
you're trying to figure out where you are and how to get out of there and that sort of stuff. Like it's spooky. So, I've been kind of back and forth between those two depending on what I feel like doing at the time, and I'm hoping to kind of like, just get a couple games beat in the next little while. But that's kind of what I'm on. Apart from like the Gwent stuff that I do daily for like the YouTube channel, check me
Right.
out on Twitch, Qcento01, because someone took Qcento. Otherwise, YouTube, just Qcento. Um, but that's like the main game that I main, really. So I play that all the time to stay sharp. But what about you guys? You're talking about Spider Man and God of War Ragnarok. It's kind of nice to have a couple games on the go, isn't it? Because you could feel like playing an RPG, but then when you go to load up the one that you're playing, you're like, not that one. I want the backup one tonight. I'm just not in the mood for that. I get that quite a bit. I'm still waiting on this chest, man.
I know. I'm like, you can't stop until the chest bursts. But yeah, I think Wukong as well is a really, really great game visually. For me, and I feel like this is for a lot of other people as well. Visual things is one of the most important things to me when it comes to an RPG game. And then right after that, or in combat. I think those need to go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I feel like a lot of the time, a
These
lot of
guys.
these bigger companies are cutting down a lot on like what really RPG means when it comes to choices because it costs more money. And when you have more choices, another style, that's another storyline, that's another path that you have to go down, which means a lot more work and a lot more time and energy that goes through these things.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is a lot of cut costing, but when you see things like Expedition 33 and again what they were able to create, and then you see these billion-dollar companies, it's like, well, you guys kind of have to lock in because now the smaller indie companies are kind of creating something very, very, very big. So where do we cut costs on, and are we just labeling pretty much anything an RPG now?
Well, that's it. It seems like RPG as well is kind of a buzzword, right?
Yep.
You throw the title RPG in there and then you expect to gain a whole community of players just by saying it. And we've talked a lot on the show about buzzwords, and I think that a lot of people are also putting roguelike as
Yeah.
one of those buzzwords that's really big right now. And, it's like you do have to deliver on that and give the people what they're looking for, right? So that's a big one. And we talked about in last week's episode. If you guys haven't checked it out, you can go check it out. It's available on YouTube, full episode. But we're talking about 2026 in gaming, and that the bigger developers really need to step it up
Right.
because this is going to be a make or break year for AAA gaming, right? We don't need to pay those price tags anymore. We don't need to, invest in these companies that keep putting out just churning games for profit and not really looking at players first. And,
Right.
Claire Obscure is a great example of that. It came out at a lower price point. It came out doing everything right. And they even added like an update to thank everybody after the fact and put the game on sale. So like they're doing exactly what they should be doing, and I think that a lot of AAA developers are not blind to this at this point, right?
Right. And that's exactly it. And that goes to, again, with the buzzwords. Feel like what happens is that to get people's attention, we use these buzzwords. But what happens at the very end is that that's what's going to cause some backlash, and that's what's
100%.
going to cause people to talk negatively about the game. Is when you go in there with this notion that this game is going to be a certain way, like an RPG, and then it ends up not being like that at all, or you kind of just put things in the game just to call it that, and it was actually useless. So I think it's just really important that these companies really step it up, especially with these smaller companies who are now getting funding, and we want
Hmm.
those kinds of things. We want a style like Expedition 33. I'm really excited to see this is gamers who came together and made a game that so many people loved, so many people appreciated. So when we stop listening to what the gamers want or what people love to see, that's where I think that RPG now it's just a word when now every single game has RPG aspects to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. just kind of looking at chat too. You made a good point, guys. Call of Duty, I rag on them every single time we hop live. So yeah, Call of Duty is pretty much the only developers that can put out the same game time after time and get away with it. And even though everyone says they hate it and that they'll never buy another COD, they still do. Numbers are still strong. They continue to make money. And we just, for whatever reason, it's like the COD community are addicted. It's the drug, the Call of Duty drug. And they just can't quit, man. Like that's just how it goes. They're gonna live on because of good games they made so many years ago. It's funny that Call of Duty gets away with so much when Halo does not. Right? Halo
Interesting.
puts out a couple mid titles. I know we're jumping off topic from RPGs to FPS, but like it's definitely one of those things where Halo puts out a bad game, they're going to hear about it, sales are going to decline, viewership's going to decline, esports will decline, and again, Call of Duty gets away with it every single time. So, hopefully in the RPG world at least, they don't act like, Activision and do the Call of Duty way. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I feel like when you have such a strong legacy, like apparently Call of Duty does, when you put out these mid and when you have those diehard fans that no matter what they put out, they're always going to go back to. I feel like the bar is set really high with Expedition 33, and I don't think that there's any conversation of them putting out any more games, at least in the new year. But I'm very curious. I feel like the pressure is on. And then I feel like for a company like that, first indie game, first game that they put out, now anything that they put out after, the pressure is on for them. But is the pressure on for some of these bigger companies as well, who are just producing these games that we want to love so badly? I think that when you put your time and your effort to really want to love something, you
Hmm.
really want the company to, a little bit of time and attention. I think really goes a long way. And just listening to feedback, even from previous games that you've opened up, and I think that a lot of the time there's games who just keep on producing the same game over and over again, and they don't care. And I feel like that's going to be short lived, no matter what.
Yeah. And it's nice for companies that have such a legacy to be able to put out the same product time and time again with confidence, knowing that they're still going to get the sales regardless.
Right.
Whereas if I were in the position of, the developers of Expedition, I would be scared about making a sequel because
Right.
when you do everything so right, how do you improve that even more, right? They
Can
pretty
you?
much swept the categories, and that's the thing is that people will watch them under a microscope now and be very critical of everything that they do. And although they're probably going to make another exceptional game at some point, if
Right.
it doesn't do better, then it's not going to be like a success in the eyes of the passionate, fan base. So it's crazy how the double standard really does kick in when you see like the game that has that legacy versus like the newer. And another example of that too, like Elden Ring, super praised, right? They came out with that sort of spin-off game that was a co-op game, the Night
Right.
Rain one. That one
Right.
wasn't received as great as the first, right? So that just kind of shows me from the outside looking in, like you come up with a game that's an instant classic and then everything has to live up to that or surpass that. And that's a really, tough world to be in for them for sure.
Definitely. And like Silverback is saying with Hollow Knight and E33 being yeah, like the cost and everything, and even their team was very small as well. So when you kind of hear these stories, it almost makes the people who play these games every day all the time kind of appreciative of like, okay, like the pressure is on now, like do for the price points of some of these games, I feel like it's a little bit more on the ridiculous side, and what they're asking for, and really the content that they're putting out. But you're absolutely right when it comes to E33. What are they going to put out next, if anything? Because I would be worried. I would be so
Hmm.
scared because what you put out was something absolutely amazing. Now the pressure is on here. And like K9 is saying, Ubisoft is losing their fans, but it's you can't put out a couple good products and then and label things as RPG games and then have RPG fans and people who love those games, who play those games, who know those kinds of games inside out, playing your games and it not being anything like that. So yes, if I it would be the same thing if I'm putting out an anime game, but really it is nothing like that. It maybe has a cutscene with anime on it. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not going to live up to the hype that you've been talking about.
Yeah, 100%. One thing about anime games too is I don't like when the game itself basically is just like watching the show. You fight for a second, then it shows the episode right in front of you. So that's another example of like when RPGs are just not really hitting the mark for me, at least.
Yeah.
I'm seeing in the chat here, AC Shadows is dope. I know Assassin's Creed Shadows was received significantly better than Valhalla. So to
Right.
me, it shows that Ubisoft is sort of on the rebound here and they're looking to kind of get back into things. That one was actually developed in Canada, a couple hours away from me in Montreal. So
Oh,
maybe there's a little bias there of wanting to like that and wanting to see, positive changes from Ubisoft because it is kind of a local game, so to speak, right? But
right.
um, yeah, again, I'm hoping that they can continue to sort of pick things up. We filled the top bar, which is amazing, by the way, on this. I'm kind of just really grinding this out to see what we can get. So we
I'm
got all the
excited.
bonuses unlocked. Now we're due for something big. I still haven't had the chest yet, but I can't play this all night. So I'm gonna roll a few more and see if we can get the luck out of it. But
We can only hope.
yeah, we are so due. I'm still up 335 though, so I'm not really complaining.
Anything could happen, you guys. Anything could happen when it comes to this. You keep on getting these coins and it's making me excited. Get
Yeah,
on there.
I just do better when Kill a Backseat plays me like.
And another thing that I find like very, very different difficult, I feel.
Respin collector. Okay.
Ooh, Respin Collective, let's go.
Sounds promising.
Okay, this is Connect 4.
I think if a coin does drop, then it keeps going.
Oh, cool.
Okay, I've seen something like this before. So if we do miss, it stops, right? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, still
I don't think that
27.
yeah, it wasn't like a big bonus. It was just like a little mini.
Well,
We're
that's still
still
nice.
we're waiting for the scatter bonus, right?
Right.
You hope they don't care about the expectations and pressure and just do what they did. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, and when it comes to that, just that pressure. One other thing that I find very is the bloated progression in skill trees. I feel like skill trees, especially if you're new to RPG games or even if you are not, I feel like the one overwhelming thing when it comes to certain games is that their skill trees can be extremely difficult to follow and you don't really get a lot from them. And I
Hmm.
feel like for you to have an RPG, like you do need to level up. You do need to level up your skill. You do need to get new weapons. But sometimes when I feel like with Elden Ring, it's very straightforward, kind of that skill tree, what you are leveling up in. Wukong had it more difficult. I don't really know if that progression in those kinds of skill trees was that beneficial. It was needed, but for how annoying it was, and even in Expedition 33 with Pictos and things like that, that it was a lot to kind of understand. So
Hmm.
I feel like that I think you needed to level up, but there is definitely way too much, and you see that in Where Winds Meet.
Okay. What do you think of skill trees when it's like there's more than you can actually accomplish within a playthrough of the game? So you would have well beat that game before you can actually go and you know do everything, right? So what
Right.
that promotes is basically redoing the game, starting from scratch and trying to do different things. Do
Right.
you like that sort of thing when you're playing RPGs, or do you want it so that by the time you finish the campaign and do all the missions, the whole tree will be full no matter what?
I think a good medium of that both. I feel like you can't do everything. You shouldn't be able to do everything right the very first
Hmm.
go around unless you're getting a lot of help. But either way, I don't think that you should be able to get 100% on these kinds of things, or you have to work really, really hard, and that's your intention is to get 100% on these things. I feel like you need to work towards them, and that goes with exploration. It goes to your time and dedication. And attention to detail on these. There's a lot of times where I'm like more than halfway done the game and someone's like, "What are you doing?" Like the skill tree is nowhere where it
Yeah.
needs to be. It makes the game 100 times harder. And then I can go back and kind of retrace my steps a little bit to try to help me to get those kinds of things. But if you're 100%ing everything, there's a good chance that you won't be one replaying the game, which I feel like me myself sometimes when the game is too long, I don't want to do a new game plus and I'm glad to be done the game. So I
Yeah.
think a happy medium with that. And to kind of depending on what kind of game it is. When you have a game like Elden Ring, there's no chance you are going to get everything the first go around. You can't. It's
Yeah.
impossible. But then when you have too short of games, it's like, well, I understand why you made it short. It's to replay it, but it's not worth it. So I think a good medium is good for those.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Games like, The Witcher or Diablo and things like that, where you
Yeah.
come into the game with different classes, either defined by the character you
Right.
pick or the armor that you have, and then you have to sort of build, a build around that. I like that quite a bit because then there's different perspective. Either you can go into the game with different mechanics, or let's say you have one that's more stealth build and stuff like that,
Right.
and then you have some that are more tanky build. Like you want to see how these different types of things play out throughout the story. That's cool to me. I don't like when you don't have the ability to respec in games. So
Right.
let's say like halfway through the game, I don't know what I'm doing at all, and then I
Yeah.
talk to a few friends who are like, "Dude, you shouldn't have put all the points into that part of the skill tree. You messed it up bad." Then I'm sitting
Yeah.
there feeling like I messed up and don't want to continue. It's like, do I restart or not? So I think like having a healthy medium, not being able to have everything in one go around is fine, but give
Right.
me the option to respec it if I want, because that does hurt, man.
A
Not being
hundred
able to do
percent.
that 100%. I think,
Definitely. And I think your personality as well goes into these games. And that's why when you have different builds, when you have whether you want to doing when whether you're wanting to do a magic build, whether you're wanting to do a dexterity build, just the kind of character that you are, even when you're customizing your character, if there
mhm.
is that option, I think that games can be very successful when you are able to put your own personality, alter ego, or whatever it is into that character, and you can choose which kind of build that you are wanting. But then halfway through, if you want to change your mind and you can't respect, I feel like that's what kind of agitates some people. So I think it's so important to be able to have those games.
Yeah, agree. Respec is super important. Chad agrees as well. Thinking about seeing if we can get into a big bonus here. I know we're coming towards the end of the stream. So I've been playing this game a little bit off stream. It's called Steam Runners. It's
Mm,
a really cool steampunk vibe for a slot. So I enjoy this
let's
one
see
quite
it.
a bit. I showed one of my friends this the other night. He won 700 and was really happy about it. So I want to see if I can have the same sort of luck that he had. Basically, sorry about that jump scare. But they have bonuses that you could buy, and some of them are pretty nice. So the Gaslight District gives you 10 spins, and it could actually pay out pretty hard. I'm thinking about going crazy. Killa's got to head out soon, so I want to send him off with like a really good, you know, dub ski for the night. So let's get it going, guys. But yeah, RPGs, again, I'm really optimistic about like where things are going based off of
Right.
some of what the indie developers have been doing lately. And I think it's going to be a really big year for RPGs. That's is huge, by the way. Okay.
There we go, right off the bat.
So this basically every turn will sort of compound. The fact that we started off with two multis that are close together on the first turn's a big deal. So
Holy. That's what we like to see.
this is the game. Yeah, I think we're actually hot. Look at that super mega 309 on the first spin, and we've got 8 to go. Don't dead spin me here.
This is the one to go to.
4 and 6, and we're going to win so much money. Holy, I'm gonna oh, somebody clip this, man. I am actually raking it right now. This is gonna be like way better than the first one.
This is literally two for two. You have not lost anything. All you've done is win.
Yeah, well, it's 10 spins that I bought for $400,
I love
and
it.
they stack. So like the fact that we hit the first two right beside each other at the beginning is insane. You
I'm
can't
already
make
gonna
this up,
make it
man.
back.
You cannot make this up. I said let's buy a feature. A good
I
sign off for Killa. We're at $900 so far.
feel you already knew this game
Oh,
is
it's
gonna
dead
be
spin
hot.
me. There we go. One more. What? 12? We didn't really get any good lines though.
I don't know. I So pretty good.
Yeah, with the multi, it's still going to be decent, but let's see.
I think you're gonna triple.
Okay, 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 okay. $1,000.
That's what we like to see.
All right, chat. What's your favorite RPG that you haven't played yet? I'm going to buy it for you. I'm going to buy you all game. No, not really, but holy crap. What a payout, man. We hit 1,100 so far. We got one to go.
Anything could happen, honestly.
They did us
I
dirty
like
at the
this
end
one a
there.
lot more. Like this feels good. This is like a good feeling one.
Yeah, like this one here, Hacksaw Games, like the developer of this specific slot, they usually
Right.
make really pretty ones. So
I love that. Yeah,
definitely,
this one is
definitely gonna be
looking
coming
really,
back
really
to this
nice. I
one.
think this one's my favorite.
Got the hot fingers. I don't want to jinx it and then, obviously lose into that. It's kind of hard to get a bigger win for the night than $1,113. So I'm just gonna wrap it up for the slots. But man, it was great having you on and kind of talking shop about gaming. It sounds like you're really getting into a lot of games. I know you said you haven't really been a gamer your whole life, but it seems like you've got obviously like a lot of the good ones under your belt in the last few years so far. So, being into the Elden Ring, Souls like games, E33, like you're definitely picking the right titles to experience gaming in. And,
Right.
hopefully you continue to enjoy playing games and, you know, with the stream and everything. Do you have anything coming up that you want everybody to know about? Like what's on the plan for the rest of January? What are the big plans for the year with streaming? Where can they find you? It's all you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I do stream on Twitch and I will be on there. There's a lot of things that we're doing. There's birthday streams that we're doing this month and we're constantly looking for more ideas game-wise. We're doing a lot of community games and we're just really building a just safe space for regular people who are just watching other streamers, other content creators to come on in and if there's any way that we can collaborate or hang out and it's just a safe space for people to come in and express yourself and just be yourself. And we are very chat heavy. We are very community heavy, and we're just here for each other. So yeah, you can find me on Twitch. And yeah, thank you so much again for this opportunity. I had a really great time talking about these games, and that's just what I love. Is this is I feel like still a huge experience for me, and I'm experiencing a lot of firsts only on stream. So it's been really amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
this
there's
year
no
is going to
better
be
way
bigger
than
and better.
exactly no better way than to do it with a bunch of friends in the chat and stuff like that. So if you guys want to watch some of the best RPGs being played live on stream, get to participate kind of maybe in the decision making. I don't know if you let them choose for you as
Oh,
well.
yes, I do. I need help.
But that's the place to go. Really appreciate you coming on tonight. We did end with a pretty big win, so we're up on the
Yes, we
day, which
did.
I feel really good about as well. That was episode number 19 of the SideQuest show, guys. It's been a couple months. We're going strong. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, I'm on every single Thursday and Saturday night. We have different guests every single week, always YouTube kit, Twitch creators from all over the world, right? Love to see you again. Don't forget to subscribe. You can find me Qcento on YouTube and Twitch. And that's pretty much it for me. Thanks for coming out again. We had some new people in the chat. Love to see you again next week. I'll be on Saturday night talking a little bit more about RPGs and the theme of the week and some of the gaming news that's been going on. And we'll see you guys there. Okay. Awesome. Have a good night. See you
Have
later.
a great night, you guys. Thank you
Bye.
so much again.